Okay, hello here, ARadarDSMain here, and I'm your pretend friend here at Grow A Garden here and hi. And greetings and salutations to you all. So, before we start, I want you to please like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Today, we will have a meeting up with the ARadarDSMain and his friends at the Fairy Update expansion. Since it begins time, we begin the Fairy Update Part 2. But, let's meet the ARadarDSMain and his friends and let's go. The Fairy Update expansion look, and of course, and therefore, you can tap the fairies to earn fairy points. And of course, you can earn some fairy points to your garden. You can tap some fairies here if you want to earn fairy points. But in the fairy appeared somewhere, the fairy will go to your garden if they leave. But for this one, you'll earn fairy points. Also remember not to steal anything here in Grow Garden. Stealing is illegal though. Alright, hello here. ARadarDSMain number 125 here, and I am your pretend friend here, and greetings and salutations to you all. So let me tell you for today's special in that update. I am here, and of course, here we are. We got the fairy, and of course, we got the fairy genius. Help fairies by taking them back to the fairy world. And what's the fairy ring? The fairy ring appears 30 minutes after the fairies. Alright, that's all, fairy genius. Okay, ARadarDSMain here, and I'm your pretend friend here. Do you want to enter the fairy world? Here, you will enter the fairy world and wait for the fairy ring. You will go to the fairy ring, and of course, remember, on the top of the near the weather, 19 December for birthday for Eloise. And of course, this is why you have it. So therefore, you can interact with fairies, you can catch them and craft by fairy net, and you can do some fun here. Also, folks, you can enter the fairy world here. You'll see the empty plot, that's the fairy world. So wait for the fairy ring in order to enter the fairy world. Also, you can crafting here in this fairy time. Fairy things. You need the sun bulbs and of course the harvest tool. So if you want the fairy net, and of course you earn your fairy jar, and that's why. Alright here, hello here. I'm here. ARadarDSMain by the male gender here. Of course. If you want to craft some items and enter the fairy world, go here, and of course you must go here in this crafting. Or you can craft your things here. Of course you can craft some cosmetics or things, but earn your fairy points. So in order to craft, how do you craft it, ARadarDSMain? Alright, you have the sun bulb, the strawberry, and harvest tool. In order to craft, you'll need to grab the following items. This may cause laggy on low-end devices. We suggest you to play medium to high-end devices as it takes a lot of mechanical works. Grab yourself a sun bulb. And of course, let me tell you, ARadarDSMain. It's a bit laggy for low-end devices. What? ARadarDSMain here, and I'm ARadarDSMain by the male gender here and hi. And of course, let me tell you for the fairy world. For the code of the fairy world, the code fairy world is bean or leave 10. What's the code again? Bean or leave 10. Say bean or leave 10 in order to enter the fairy world. So, the fairy world enter code is bean or leave 10. If you miss that, bean or leave 10 once again, okay? So let me tell you for first, ARadarDSMain, before we tell another. What? Of course. Here in this fairy world, I like that fairies, and of course the world is connection and signified in the glory and power signification. So ARadarDSMain here, and I'm ARadarDSMain by the male gender here, and I'm monitoring the garden. And hello. Greetings and salutation to you all. So this is why. Let me tell you, folks. I was controlling ARadarDSMain, and of course, you must earn all of the fairy points if you want to. So bean or leave 10 is the code, okay? Once again, the bean or leave 10 code is on the screen, okay? Don't you worry. Okay, let's craft some fairy net and let's catch them in order to bring to the fairy world. And of course, you must earn the harvest tools. So let's find. And of course, let's buy for 30 million shekels. And of course, this takes crafting points for the fairy net. And of course, anyways, let's craft. Oops, that's not, it's a seed, okay? If you see that rectangle one, that's the seed. Of course. This is not a required item, so... And that's all for that. Anyways, let's craft now and let's go. And of course, you will craft them, and of course, this will be your garden. Here we are, let's craft and bring it to Fairy World. So, let me tell you the image of Fairy World later on, so that's for today. But don't worry, let's craft the item and let's go. Alright, ARadarDSMain here, and I'm pretend friend here. I forgot to tell you something, folks. I'm your pretend friend here. Of course, the cost of our view rate declining is not our things that we have never seen before, but also the servers and errors on the YouTube server. So let's catch some fairies. Use the fairy net in order to catch the fairies. Then it will collect it to your fairy jar. And once you catch the fairies, bring them to the fairy world. If you see the ring, folks, just say bean or leave 10. That's the code. Once again, if you've forgotten. But here's the tip. Once you enter the fairy world, ask the fairies to ask them to return the fairies to the safety point. And therefore, the fairies will come back. So that's what we know it. Catch this by using the fairy net. If you see a fairy, when the server says a fairy appeared somewhere, catch the fairies. And of course, December 19 is birthday for Eloise in 75 days. And I almost forgot. What? ARadarDSMain here, and I'm 10 friend here. And let me tell you, here we are. Let's catch this. If you see that, you must catch it. Here we are. This is the fairy that we catch it. Of course. How was the admin abuse last night? It was good. Okay, ARadarDSMain's high and ARadarDSMain's industry security team vehicles are there. Command control. The blue ones with the siren. Yes, we got the new vehicle, but therefore it's hidden or so. Yes, of course, ARadarDSMain's industry security team and the intelligence agency and the command control and forces whaling. So, the admin abuse was laggy. Yes, of course, ARadarDSMain's industries has broadcast issues. And of course, broadcast issues with that. And that's why. We have broadcast issues last night, right? Yes, Jai Latte said. DJ Jai says, therefore, there was happening there what happened. And of course, therefore, admin abuse happened last night. But therefore, let me tell you, what? ARadarDSMain's TV channel, Chocolate Chocolates AM, Pretend TV, Pretend Real says, the admin was hanging and of course, lagging. And of course, this is what we know it. And of course, the code once again is bean or leave 10, okay? Okay. And that's why. Of course, say, if you want to enter the fairy world, say bean or leave 10. Bean or leave 10. Here's in the chat bar, bean or leave 10 is the code on fairy world. Jai Latte once said to enter the fairy world. Of course, the fairies are now leaving your garden. And of course, we are waiting for fairy rings. So anyways, since we're waiting for the fairy wing, we are now still waiting for that, and this is why. Alright, ARadarDSMain here, and I'm your pretend friend here, and of course, since we're waiting for the fairy ring, okay? Yes! Of course, ARadarDSMain here, and I'm your pretend friend here, and of course, greetings and salutations to all. So, see you. So, anyways, meanwhile, and of course, we are going to take a break and waiting for the fairy ring, and of course, ARadarDSMain here, and I'm your pretend friend here. Okay, meanwhile, and of course, we're moving on to the next video. So, anyways, goodbye for now, and of course, wait for the fairy ring. Thank you very much. ARadarDSMain here, and I'm your pretend friend here at the fairy ring here and alone. Greetings and salutations to you all. So after the update, the fairy ring appeared near the seed shop and sell shop, but the fairy ring can appear at random times. In order to enter the fairy world, you cannot enter by using any code. Enter using bean or leave 10. Here is the fairy world realm. Here we go, the fairy world. ARadarDSMain I command control, and of course, our news team is now entering. Let's dive right in. Here we are at the fairy world. You will find lots of fairies here. Here we are in the fairy world. It's so beautiful. If you leave the fairy world and it closes, the fairy world will be no longer available because fairy world closes on 10 minutes. And of course, after that, the fairy world is now closed. Unless appeared after when the fairies sometimes go. So, once you enter the fairy world, you must use the code. To enter the fairy world, use bean or leave 10. Okay? Seen on the screen. But, of course, what's the code again? Bean or leave 10. Of course, once you enter the fairy world, find some fairies in order to capture some fairies. You will find tons of pets. We captured lots of fairies. And of course, use your fairy net to capture a fairy. And of course, the fairy will be now here from ARadarDSMain IA. And of course, the transparent fairy, ARadarDSMain invisible fairy is now here. And of course, we are here. And of course, to ask a fairy, you must talk to her. And of course, because welcome, non-Ederal one. Submit all fairy jars. And of course, to capture the fairy, here's it, ARadarDSMain. You go to the fairy world, grab a fairy, and collect it. Here we go, capture a fairy. Fairy, ARadarDSMain. And of course, here we are, the fairy jar. And of course, hello. ARadarDSMain the fairy trapped in the fairy jar, and of course, and collect them and return to the fairy world. This is the fairy realm. And of course, to exit the fairy realm, go to ARadarDSMain. The mouse portal is mouth wide and exit the realm immediately. Or pressing by seeds, garden, and cell. To exit the realm, look for the exit portal, and of course, fairy closes in 10 minutes. So the fairy world. So fairy world is different than a grow garden world. When you enter the fairy world, it looks like tiny and you're entering into a different dimension. Hello. Alright, and of course we can catch some fairies too. And of course, you can catch some fairies, and of course 7 out of 100. Once you submit the fairy jars, once you submitted all 100 fairy jars, you'll get a reward or so. Anyways, let's go. Submit all fairy jars, please. And of course, we got 9 fairies captured. Anyways, let's exit the fairy world, and of course, you can go here if you want to. Whee! Alright, ARadarDSMain here, and I'm your pretend friend here. So, I hope you enjoy it, the fairy world update part 2. So, don't forget to do like, subscribe, and hit the bell. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to do like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Anyways, let me tell you first what happened. Our view rate are declining, but this is not that our things that we have never seen before, but also the YouTube servers. don't forget to comment and also share. So please watch our videos, please. Okay? So our views are low. I'm so sorry for Grow A Garden. Let me tell you first. I am so sorry of Grow A Garden here, that's main here. And of course, why we posting Grow A Garden but not others? It's because of the update every Saturday. Every Saturday I'm suffering, but don't worry. I'll take pictures or so. And anyways, I'll enjoy there. And one more thing. What? One more thing. The Innovation Incorporated Thermal Power Plant has renovated some features. The IITPP Innovation Incorporated Thermal Power Plant has renovated some features. And of course, the new core update. Safeguard adding pressure and of course, improved visual effects in the IITPP. And of course, have fun enjoying in IITPP. Play IITPP if you want to. There are some new improvements. The thermal generators will be finishing soon. So anyways, goodbye now. Goodbye now. ARadarDSMain And the signals are working. The mainframe is signal file broadcasted forevermore. You know I'm gonna get. Security team, command control. Yes. Very genius. Thank you very much. Yes, it's covering and burning blood. Yes. Don't forget to do like, subscribe, and the bell. So, anyways, one more thing. Our first anniversary and anniversary special of ARadarDSMain Industries will be on October. Stay tuned. And for